So let's create a new Force.com site where we can add self-registration. So let's go to Setup, App Setup, select Develop, and click on Sites. Now, if you don't have registered your Force.com domain already, so you need to put in a unique name in this field and check if it's available. So let's do that. Yeah, make sure that it's successful. If it is, check the box and register your domain. Okay, now that we have our domain registered, let's create a new site where we can add self-registration. So on the sites page, click New. Let's set the site label. And complete all the other mandatory fields. So we have the site contact, that's where they can be your system administrator. And let's set the site active homepage. I've created a simple page called My New Site Homepage that I will use for this site. So when you've completed all the mandatory fields, click Save. Now that we've created our site, let's finish the setup. So click on the site name. What we need to do now, we need to add a Visualforce page from the self-registration package. So scroll down to the site Visualforce pages and click Edit. Now, on the left-hand side, on the available Visualforce pages, find self.sr registration page and add it to the enabled Visualforce pages list. And click Save. So now that you've done this, click Activate to activate your site. Okay, now that we have a working site, let's create a new self-registration flow. So in your Apps menu, select Self-Registration and click the New button to create the new flow. For example purposes, we'll create a very simple registration flow, filling only the mandatory fields and leaving everything else to default. If you want to further customize the registration flow, you can look into the user guide, or you can hover over the question mark icons to see what the other fields mean. So let's start. Let's fill in the self-registration name. Now the next mandatory field is the from email address. That's used for verification and login credential emails that are sent out to the new users that registered through this flow. So let's just change the company to your company name. So the next field is from email name. So this will be used on the email that's sent out to the users. So you can change it from support to info or whatever you feel is necessary. If you scroll down, so the next field is the new user profile ID. So this profile ID will be used for all the new users that are registered using this registration flow. So paste in that profile ID. And last thing, if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, so we need to paste in the site URL where we want to expose this registration flow. When done, click Save. So now that we've created our first registration flow, let's look at the registration form. If you scroll down, you can see there's a registration form link field that will take you to the actual registration form that the users will see. Each registration flow within Salesforce is identified by a unique ID, so you can have multiple registration flows in a single organization. So let's click on the link and look at it. Here we have a very simple registration flow, where new users need to enter their first name, last name, and email to register for Salesforce Access. So let's look how we can add a new field from the user object on this registration form. To extend the registration form and add new fields, scroll down to the bottom of the page where you'll see a related list called Form Fields. As you can see, there are already 3 fields in the list, and these are mandatory. So every user that wants to register will have to provide this information. If you want to add a new field to the list, click New Form Field. Okay, I've created a custom field on the user object called employee number. So I want to add this to the list. So let me type in the label. And this label doesn't need to be the same as the custom field on the user object, so you can shorten the field if you want to and use a different version. So here I need to now paste the field API name from the user object. So employee underscore number underscore underscore C, because that's a custom field. I want to set it as required, so it appears mandatory on the form. And I want to set the order to 4th, as already 3 fields on the form, so will appear as the last field on the form. And hit save to add the field. Okay, now that we've added the new field, let's have a look at the form. Let's go back to Salesforce registration. Scroll down and click on the registration form link. Now at the bottom of the form, you can see that we have a new field, employee number. And if you try and leave it blank, it's going to indicate that it's mandatory.